Alright guys, this is a hot pack canner preparation. Pretty similar to your cold pack. You're going to put your water in that your canner calls for. Here we got 3 quarts. The difference between a hot pack and a cold pack is you want everything hot because you're going to be putting hot food into hot jars in a hot canner. Nothing to do with safety. It's simply to prevent your jars from cracking from thermal shock. As always, tablespoon of cream of tartar. That cuts down on the cloudiness. A lot of people use vinegar, but that tends to rust the lids and sometimes even the weight. So cream of tartar works pretty good. Pop in your rack. Oil the rim, a little bit of olive oil. Now there's several different ways to warm your jars up. We simply use our dishwasher, wash the jars, and then run several cycles of the heat cycle. Gets them pretty warm. You could put them in boiling water. You could put them in the oven at 160, 180 degrees. The dishwasher works pretty good if you got a nice heated cycle on your dishwasher. And then we're going to take this outside and put it on the outside burner to start getting the water warm. We'll see outside. All right, we got a canner on the burner on the lowest flame we can get. And that's just going to keep the water nice and hot so that when we put the hot jars with the hot food in it, it doesn't break the jars. And we're going to go ahead and start our cooking process. All right, Salisbury steak. This stuff turns out amazing. We're going to take 1 ounce package of onion soup mix per 2 pounds of meat. I think we're working in 4-pound batches here just to make it easier. And you're going to mix it up real good, nice and thorough, and patty them out into patties. And to make sure they fit in the jars, we use a 1-piece lid, wide mouth, with wax paper on the inside. And simply put the meat in, flatten it out, make a patty, clean it up, and that wax paper is going to make it nice and easy to plop out of there. And then you're going to just put it on another sheet of wax paper. And keep on going until you get all your patties out. Now I think we're doing 12 pounds of hamburger, and we'll see how many jars that makes. We know we can get 3 patties per pint. So we'll see you when we get them all patted out. Tossing on all the burgers. All we're going to do is sear the outside till they get a nice good sear on them. You don't want to cook them. They're going to cook during the process. But get a nice good char on the outside of both sides. It's going to let them hold their shape and lock in all that goodness, all the flavor. So we're going to go till we get them all on here. Now you can do this in a frying pan, 5 or 6 at a time. Just takes a little longer, but certainly doable. And we're going to work on this, and we'll see you here in a few minutes. All right, we got them all laid out. We're going to start flipping. Like I said, we're not cooking them. We're searing the outsides of them. Looking pretty good. We're going to keep going until we get them all flipped over. And then we're going to start putting them in the jars. Now, this is a lot easier with another person. So while I'm doing this, she's getting the hot jars prepared to bring them outside and get those ready to go. I suppose you could do it by yourself, but it'd be a lot of work. So we're going to keep going, and we'll see you in a minute. All right, we got them flipped over. Nice char on both sides. We're going to take our hot jars, and we're going to put 3 in each jar, pint-sized jars. I think I get 4 that one. And we're going to keep going until our jars are full. All right, we actually got 4 patties in almost every jar, and 12 pounds of hamburger did 15 jars, so it was quite perfect. Now we're going to put beef broth to a 1-inch headspace and debubble. After debubbling, you may have to add a little more to ensure your 1-inch headspace. And then we're going to wipe the rims with the vinegar. Yeah, after debubbling, just top it off to a 1-inch headspace. And then, like always, we're going to come behind and really wipe them rims, because this was a hot pack with a lot of grease, and you got to get them rims nice and clean. Take your time during this process and ensure there's nothing on them rims. Once they're clean, put the lid on. Ring goes on. Fingertip tight. When it moves on that towel, in the canner it goes. All right, we got our bottom row in. We're going to place the rack on top, and we're going to put our top layer in. All right, all the jars are in. Place our lid, making sure it's level. Opposite sides. Tighten them down a little bit. Make sure you're pretty level. And then go around opposite sides till it's nice and tight. Now, the good thing about a hot pack, it's a little more work, but this is going to start vending much quicker. So we'll see you once we start venting. All right, guys. I had a bit of a technical difficulty here. My microphone cut out for about the next 3 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to dub over this. Right now, we're looking at a vent, a strong vent, and you can see it pretty well. And most of the time inside the house, we don't see it because our house is pretty dry. So, but being that we're outside, it's pretty humid. It's much easier to see it. So, anyway, we're going to start our 10-minute timer and vent for 10 minutes, and then we're going to put our weight on, just like that. And then we're going to wait to come up to pressure. And once it starts jiggling, that's when we're going to start our time for what we're cooking. Meat 75 minutes in pints, 90 minutes in quarts. And outside here on the burner isn't quite as trusty as our electric stove. So you want to keep an eye on it. The perfect jiggle is a jiggle every 15 seconds. A little more is not bad. Less is not desirable. Now, if it jiggles more than that, you're just burning more propane. That's all. So the goal is to get it to jiggle about every 15 seconds. And also, I lost a clip in here of me taking the weight off. So once our meat timer is up, we're going to turn the heat source off. And then when it comes down to 0, we will take our weight off and set a 10-minute timer. And then we'll pick up from there. All right, our 75 minutes is up. And all we're going to do is turn the heat off. Shut the heat source down. And now we're going to wait till it comes down to 0 pounds of pressure. All right, 10 minutes is up. Now, from here, I prefer to bring it into the house, remove the lid for 10 minutes before I take the jars out. It's just easier that way. It's extremely heavy. I'm fortunate enough to be strong enough and young enough to still do this by myself. If you can't, take your jars out a little at a time. All right, we got it inside. All we're going to do is open the lid. Just going to release the clamps. We'll crack the lid. Set it off to the side. We're going to wait 10 more minutes. All right, been another 10 minutes. We're going to remove the lid. And we're going to take the jars out. Just like that. We're going to continue until they're all out. All right, we've got our jars out. Now, we did have a little bit of siphoning. You can see there's a little bit of grease and stuff in there. That's normal. But already, every jar has sealed. And you can see how they're nice and bubbling, boiling hot. They're going to seal just fine. And next up, we're going to open one and show you how to cook it. All right, cooking up the Salisbury steak. Pretty simple. We're going to take our 2 tablespoons of butter into the pot, let that melt. Now we use this stuff. Turns out pretty good, and you can cook it in what, 4 minutes. So cook that as directions per directions. We're going to melt the butter. This is one of my favorite meals. Turns out so good. All right, butter's melted. 2 tablespoons of flour. Go on and make that paste. Should be nice and thick, just like that. Once you got that, you can open your jar. And pop them things in there. Now you're going to heat that up till it's nice and smooth and solid. All right, now them taters we use, once they come out and you mix it up, we like to add 2 tablespoons of butter, about 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Make them nice and creamy. And boy, I'm telling you, it don't get much better than that. Absolutely delicious.